and didn't have 30 minutes of material before to get through. So now I've got 10 minutes worth, and I think we can make that happen. All right. So hello, everyone. I want to make sure everybody's talking into the microphone. I was going to say there's only one person here, so he can.
Mic
We want to
check
make sure
one two one
John can
two.
hear us.
Bum bum bum.
Hey, John, how's it going, man?
It's all good.
Let's see. This is the final Klamath Film member meeting of the year. Forever. I'm done. I'm trying. All of this is going into the dumpster. Yeah. Nobody gets any of it. It's going straight to the dumpster. Then we're gonna pour a bunch of leftovers over it, so nobody gets it. Anyway, my name is Logan. Everybody here knows me, but for people who are watching the recording later, my name is Logan Baldwin. I am the executive director of Klamath Film. I've been with the organization since February, so coming up on a year. Good God, time flies. Yeah. So we are just gonna talk about movies tonight, and so first thing I'm gonna get through some announcements and some news. We're not a huge lot going on this time of year. I guess it's a bit slow. It's getting cold, that sort of thing. But I did get an email a week or two ago from Christina Maxey, who is the founder of the Oregon Cold Cases Collective Foundation. And she started that in Coos Bay after her dad went missing, like a couple of years after. She was really little, and so she was working on that cold case for decades and decades, and then they eventually found him. And so she started this. She was so good at working on cold cases, she started this foundation where they worked on that. And so she's looking for people to help her make a documentary to raise awareness for this foundation. And so I think she's just casting a wide net. She doesn't have anybody attached to it at all. So if anybody's interested in getting involved with a great cause, documentary filmmaking, I think she just really wants a short video, and she's in Coos Bay, right? But she wants to be able to show it everywhere. And yeah, she reached out to all of us. Yeah.
She's a scriptwriter basically and looking for a production company.
No, she is a cold case detective. She's an investigator. Yeah, she started her own foundation for cold cases, and she just wants some help getting the name out. You know what I mean? So that's
I'm not into the dark side of life, but I am into cameras and all the behind the work. So
exactly.
So is she just looking for like commercials kind of things, like just something to let people know about her? Or does she want a documentary stuff to help show what?
Yeah, I imagine a bit of both. She wants a documentary, probably a short form documentary, right? And so a long ad, but ultimately, yeah. And if anybody's interested in that, whether you're here now, great, fantastic. I'll write you down and I'll get you that email address later.
And I'm cheap too. I don't cost any money.
Yeah. Well, is she offering, or is she just looking for pro bono?
She didn't mention it. I will, if you're interested, I will give you her email address.
No, I was just curious. I don't think I'm going to be able to do that until I'm done with the house.
Sure.
Other than Mac here in town, what's his name?
Oh, well, yeah, so that's what we got going on here. She wants to be able to show it around. You're interested in that? Great.
I saw your email, and then I had to, you emailed it right before I was heading into work. So
yes.
I had time to respond, and then poof, out of my brain.
Yes, perfect.
Will you take my name off? I prefer it's him.
Sure. Sure.
I don't like to compete with you.
No. I'm sure she needs all the help she can get. So I'll give it to you anyway. You can reach out to her if you'd like.
I'm not competing with him.
No problem.
Well, you don't have to compete. You can cooperate.
Exactly. I don't think it'd be a problem.
I'm not cooperating with you.
Yes. Exactly. That's all. I think everybody here is a paid member, so everybody would have gotten that email. So that's great, and that is a great segue to becoming a member. Like I said, everybody. So I'm preaching to the choir here, but for people who are watching online later, that you can get if you become a member, it's only $25 a month. Your finger is on the pulse for opportunities like that. I get opportunities all the time, one every couple of weeks, one every week, something like that. And I'd send it out to everybody who is a paying member. And um, they're the first to know about filmmaking opportunities like that. And you also get things like discounts to tickets for whenever we have our special screenings. We have several throughout the year. The next one coming up is going to be end of February-ish. We're going to have our Oscar shorts. So every year, when the Oscars have all of their nominated short films, you can't really find any of them anywhere. And if you can, they're all spread out, but like one thing that we do is we group them all together and we show them. We rent out the Pelican every year and we show all of the Oscar nominated short films for every year. And it's such a fun night, and there's such a wide variety of different shorts. And if they say,
when are you planning to do that this year, or is it already over?
No. It's over for this year, yeah. But it'll be probably the end of February, start of March.
Oh, okay.
Yes. It's usually Oscar weekend, so I don't remember exactly when that is just now, right now. But yeah, that's one of my favorite things outside of Kith is the Oscar nominated short film screening, because if you come into one, what's up?
That was a good time last year.
Yeah, it's so much fun. And we have little ballots. And so at the end of the night, everybody casts their ballots, and you get to vote for who you think is going to win each category. And we'll announce that prior to the Oscars, and we'll see if we pick the right ones.
We were pretty much all correct.
Yes, we were. Everybody, we correctly guessed the winning Oscars, and it was pretty easy to guess, right? But we got what was the Wes Anderson one, and the animated one about John Lennon.
Hi guys.
Yes. Hello, Bowen. How are you?
Not too bad.
I like your sweater.
Hey, Clayton's
Very
here.
much.
Hey, buddy.
Oh, hey, Clayton. How's it going, man?
What's up, guys?
I'm still doing a little bit of ads right now.
Do your thing.
And we'll
Do your
get
thing. I can hang tight.
Sounds good, man. And then my favorite thing about the membership perks of Klamath Film is that we have a huge library of professional equipment that anybody who is a member can have total access to and rent anything. We've got Blackmagic cameras, we've got a drone, we've got GoPros, we've got all sorts of lighting, we've got rigs, we've got everything.
Only the finest quality C-stands.
Absolutely. Yeah, so $25 a month, and that gives you access to the entire library. And right now it's sitting in a cold storage unit and needs to be used. So
It's lonely.
Yes, exactly. So if anybody is interested in working on a project, you don't have to go out and buy a crazy camera. Jared Hurd, who's a member, he's the owner of 40 Deuce.
Oh,
Yeah, 40 Deuce Productions. He live streamed the Snowflake Festival this year, just a couple of weeks ago, and I helped him with that. He's using our Blackmagic cameras. That's cool. And he paid $25 for the year for as much as he wants. So everybody should take advantage of that. Straight up. It's crazy. Yes.
Do you know
What
what
did I say, a month?
make and model
You said
the
A year.
The drone
Absolutely.
is-
It's a month.
Like, I don't think it's a year
No, it is not.
or a month.
Yes, we got it. Sorry, what's that, John?
I was just curious if you know what make and model the drone is.
I don't off the top of my head, but I will write that down and get you that information.
I wouldn't
Yeah.
suggest flying them this month. They're on a hit list.
Oh, I know, New Jersey. Ever since New Jersey,
Sorry I interrupted you, bud.
Yeah, so I have written that down, John, and I will get you that information soon.
whenever.
Yes. Alrighty. And then the very last thing that we've got is we have several open seats for board members. If anybody wants to be involved with Klamath Film more and get to do some event planning, and you get to be on the pulse even more of all of our activities. And what's up?
Is it true that board members cannot submit films to the film festival?
You absolutely can. Yeah.
Okay.
It would just be a matter of dependent on the film or the level of involvement of whether or not it would be in consideration for any awards.
Oh,
Yeah,
yes. That's what I was
exactly.
asking.
Exactly. We have had members submit, and I think that we were totally unbiased in, we've got some members that submit really great stuff and it makes it. And then we've got some members who submit some okay
As long
stuff
as we're
and
not
we got to make room for
Yeah,
the better
well, it's
stuff,
like I was in a film that got into the festival. Well, actually, a couple of films that were in the festival.
Yeah.
And then one like that was a student level film that actually won for its category.
yeah, I
but
remember that one,
that
the
was
silent.
the only involvement that I had was as an actor, so I didn't really put my hands in anything else, and I didn't judge it, and I wasn't, going through that process. So usually it's a matter of, if you're on the board, of course, please don't let it stifle your ability to engage and make films. But also it's just that we try to also maintain that level of impartiality with the festival.
Yeah.
And then the members
Keep
don't
yourself.
experience that.
Oh, sorry.
The members don't experience that. Members can like submit and not they can receive awards and things.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
yeah.
You're just a
Members
regular
can.
member. Yeah, absolutely.
Absolutely. Yeah.
My understanding is just that the board members they just couldn't vote on their own stuff. Other people had to vote on it. Is that about how it goes?
Yeah, more or less. And just because you're a board member doesn't mean that you're on the selection committee either, right? So,
Okay.
we
Right.
we are.
You
we are
guys
all
usually use
unbiased.
are you using external that thing again to choose? It seems like you guys use an external thing at least to vote for the final stuff, maybe.
We do
Something
have an
like that.
external panel of judges that helps with our final award selection.
Oh, wow.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
is it a combo between you two, or is it just them?
Yeah, sometimes. Yeah. Because I'm both the executive director and I'm also on the selection committee, and that's just because it's so much fun. I get to watch all of the movies that were submitted to us, which is way more than you guys get to see, and I get to watch all of the bad ones too, and that's
And you
just
get to
as
sit
fun.
and marinate
That's
in the
just as
sweet,
fun.
sweet
What do
release
you
of
learn from
critique.
the bad ones?
Absolutely. It is absolutely just as fun. And then we, it sounds sort of daunting. We get together the selection committee for a good 6 or 7 hour Zoom call, and we talk about each film. And that sounds like a lot, but it really flies because you're just talking about the things that you love. You know what I mean? It's like, ooh, I loved this one because of X, Y, and Z, or ooh, this one sucks because X, Y, Z, A, B, C, D, E, F, G. And that's so much fun. So that's my favorite part of the job is getting to watch all of these selection and then talking about just talking about movies for 6 or 7 hours straight with your friends. It's great. And getting paid for it.
Yeah. Right.
So board members, if you want to be one, we've got seats open. I think we've got 3 or 4 seats open. And with the new year coming up, it's time to start getting involved. And in January we're gonna have our big board meeting and plot out our whole year. So now's the time to get in if you're interested. So, and that goes for everybody who's watching online later. Does anybody have any questions about that before we move on? Anybody have any questions about membership perks, board members, documentary work, anything like that?
Are the board members paid or is it unpaid?
No. It's voluntary.
Okay,
But
I just didn't know.
yeah.
That's okay.
It's
I
only
just-
1 or 2 meetings a month, or 3 if you want to get really involved. Yeah, let's do it. All righty. Cool. Well, it is now 6:30 and we have Clayton here. And that's great. He's our featured guest for the evening. Hey Clayton, how are you? What's up, man?
I'm good.
Good.
How are
I'm
you?
glad to hear it. I'm doing great. So, Clayton, what we want to do, what we do to start off with is we go around the table and we introduce ourselves to you so that you get an idea of who we are, and then you
Okay.
can introduce yourself, and then we'll get you going. And we're just going to talk about movies for like an hour and a half, if that sounds interesting at all,
Yeah.
Everybody here knows me now, and Clayton knows me too. My name is Logan Baldwin. I'm the executive director of Klamath Film. I have been with the organization since February of this year, and the organization, we are the film liaisons for Klamath County and Lake County as well. We do the Klamath Independent Film Festival every year. We host these networking meetings every month so that people can hang out, talk about movies, and then also like get to know other filmmakers in the area in case, somebody needs help with something like that, or um, things like that. I am from Tennessee. I moved here just over a year ago in August of 23, right? That's what year we're in. Or we were in August. So I moved here from Tennessee. I grew up just north of Nashville. I got my associates in video production there. And then we moved to Memphis, where I was a studio photographer for TJ Maxx and Marshalls. And then my wife graduated from the University of Memphis, the law school there, and she was looking at the job board and saw that we learned that there's a huge lack of legal professionals in Oregon. And she saw a job here at Klamath Falls. We don't have kids. We're young. Let's do something crazy. And so we moved from Memphis, Tennessee to Klamath Falls, Oregon. And I've been here ever since. And I've been working on this stuff with you guys. So that's me. I also want to go around and introduce everybody. Jude, you're going to be next, so I'm just giving you some time to think about what you're going to say. And I want everybody to introduce themselves, say what they've been working on recently or what they might need help with, and then finally, what have you been watching recently? Because movies. All right. Hey, Jude, what's up, man?
Well, you didn't say what you've been watching.
Oh yeah. I have never been personally a huge fan of Christmas movies. There's just not one that I really love, despite watching all the same ones every year. I grew up watching, Christmas Story and Christmas Vacation and stuff like that, right? I kind of like, controversially, I kind of hate Elf. I think it's just it's cringe humor.
I'm not a big fan of the show.
Yeah, dude. It's cringe humor. It really gets under my skin. It's like watching Nathan For You. Does anybody watch that show? I cannot watch more than an episode.
I have still yet to watch Elf myself, and I just never appealed to me.
Interesting.
But I mean, Jim Carrey being the Grinch, I think I saw some of that. I don't know if I've seen all of it. That one at least looks fun.
Interesting. Yeah. The Grinch really holds up. It's fun. So I don't love Christmas movies, but what I love is very special Christmas episodes of things, right? So I go through every year and I watch all of the Christmas episodes of my favorite shows. So I went through and I watched all of Community's Christmas episodes, The Office, Parks and Rec, Family Guy, all of the fun. So that's what I've been watching recently. Yeah, Jude. Hey, what's up, man? How are you?
I'm doing pretty good. My name's Jude Garlitz, born and raised here in Klamath Falls, 19 years old. Just recently opened up and started my own LLC, J Studios Film and Design, if you want to check that out. Hoping to get started on some projects I've been sitting on for a while, specifically a sci-fi mystery, or I guess mystery would be a good way to put it, stop motion, and then some other stuff. Been luckily doing some senior photos for some people in town. That's kind of what I've been working on lately. Just being so busy with my day job. Just mostly been doing the photography there. And as far as what I've been watching, I have been checking out the newest Star Wars show, Skeleton Crew. I watched the trailer and deemed it worthy of viewing. And it hasn't been a disappointment at all. Like, it's not that bad. So I'm pretty happy with it. I've been disappointed with a lot of the stuff Disney has been putting out lately, but this show definitely holds its weight.
Very cool. Fun fact about Skeleton Crew. A couple of months ago, we had Mike Estes on. He was the stuntman. And Clayton remembers Mike. He was one of our first little guests here after we worked the summer on Ernie and Emma. Mike is not just a stuntman on that show. He's a character. He's under a bunch of makeup, and I don't know what his character is, but I'm going to look that up right now. He's Pax. Does that sound familiar? Let's see. Pax Skeleton Crew. Clayton, do you happen to know off the top of your head about this?
I haven't watched it yet. It's definitely on the to-do list, but I think he plays a Reese character, which is like a three-eyed guy.
Yeah, yeah. Okay.
Take one, pass it around. So
But
he's
yeah, Mike's a cool dude, as you guys already know.
yeah, he's great. Everybody knows that Mike's great.
We sell bicycles. So
From what I remember him saying before is that he was just a stunt man, hired to be a stunt man in this suit, and he had maybe a line or something like that, and they liked him, and they just kept giving him more lines and more lines, and then eventually he's in all 8 episodes or something like that. So yeah, so congratulations to Mike, and that's awesome. Does that wrap you up, Jude?
Yeah, pretty much.
Sorry to take over your
Pretty
internet.
much. No, it's all good.
You said you were working on senior photos, and that's awesome. I'm not friends with a whole lot of teenagers, but if I meet any, I'll let them. I'll point them to you.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
you're 19.
Yeah.
Still, so you have.
Yeah. Hey,
Yeah,
at least one. At least
Okay, so when you get your senior pictures made, I know exactly the person.
Okay, sounds good.
Fantastic.
I mean, like I'm almost 20. Birthday's in March, so
In March.
I'm just waiting for that deadline. I'm sick.
19 and 3/4.
Yes.
Oh, lots of more things for sure.
Logan, I'm 12.
Well, you got some time. There you go.
Hopefully I'm doing some family photos for a group soon, and then in the summer I might have a wedding slated. And then I've also done some like product photography, just all sorts of stuff, whatever people need photos for, really.
Fantastic. Good deal. Anthony, how are you? What's up, man? How's it going?
I've been blessed.
Good.
Wait.
Oh.
So my name is Anthony Lee Thornton. I am a temporary resident of Klamath Falls. It's a beautiful backdrop here. I've enjoyed my time out hiking, enjoying y'all's landscape here. I own a film production company on Main Street here in Klamath Falls, Oregon. My film that I watched was with John. We went to our $5 Tuesdays over at Pelican Theater and watched Red One. Never imagined Dwayne Johnson as a elf, but that's what's going down. And our reindeers are a lot bigger than we think. So that was interesting to watch. And they made Santa out to be some like special ops force with like fighter jets and everything. So that was interesting. Sorry to ruin the movie for everyone.
Well, it was high on my list.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I've heard nothing but great things about that one.
Well, Anthony, when we were going, he said, "Well, they spent like 200 to 250 million on this movie," and I'm like, "What?" And
I was
looked it up, and I'm
offended.
like, "They did." I'm like, "What are they thinking? They're not going to make that money back." But
I was offended because I watched it at home free on Friday with my wife on Prime. So that was
No
annoying.
way.
is it on Prime already?
Yeah, it was
Oh my
there.
God.
We saw it on Tuesday and theater saw it on Prime on Friday.
Oh,
Well, it sounds like you liked it enough to watch it twice.
Yeah. And as far as what I'm working on lately, I've been laser focused on 2 words, execution and minimization, just all around me. Even my production company, just taking ideas that I have way too many ideas and trashing them all and feeling good about it. And picking a couple to leave in front of me and trying to just have that to go forward with.
Great. Have you worked on anything recently?
Just execution so I can maintain focus. I've wrapped up all the pre-production for my films that I have in mind. So
No way.
I had too much on my plate. And one of your comments one time helped me. He's like, I just want to focus on me. You actually said that. And ever since then, I've been on that mission of just self-focus. That way you can get right to your projects instead of going into your projects and there's so much on your plate you're just like wobbling through. So that's been my focus.
Good deal, man. All righty.
Oh yeah, and I got fired. So
Oh,
from what?
I was helping with a production called Kiva's Corner that's no longer using me. So
okay.
You're gonna drop that bomb on us?
I think that's some gossip from me, you, and Jude. After
Yeah. Us three talk after.
All righty. Next up.
Hi, I'm Molly Fleur. We live here, but we've lived kind of all over the place. Korea and I just all over. I don't know. We've lived all over the place. I was a teacher, but I guess right now, basically, I'm working on helping him stay focused and working with my kids. I'm homeschooling my kids right now, and then our daughter, our 6-year-old, really likes making movies. So we've been, yeah. So she just got a video camera, so she's gonna probably start. She makes Barbie movies a lot. Let's see. What I've been
Starting
watching
young.
lately, she loves
That's
it.
how it starts.
She's very animated, so
Fantastic.
she would probably be a good
Hand drawn 3D or claymation. Sorry.
No,
Stop motion.
yeah, stop motion, pretty much.
Live motion.
But yeah, she would be quite a character in a movie. And then our older daughter is in gymnastics, and so she's going crazy with that. So, but watching lately, well, I mean, the main Christmas movie I've watched is Die Hard.
Perfect.
So,
You mean the
yeah.
original or a new one?
Yeah, of course, the original.
Oh, okay, yeah, yeah, that's
And
right.
then-
It was at Christmas, wasn't it? I forgot.
Yeah, it's a Christmas movie. It's a
Mhm.
Christmas movie. And then
Hotly debated.
Polar Express.
Yeah.
Which,
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's love.
Yeah, I was just like, I mean, yeah, is that something you had not seen before, or
But what's the guy in it?
Tom Hanks.
Tom Hanks?
He's-
Is-
But he plays like every character.
Yep.
It's freaking.
Does he really?
He's
Oh,
amazing.
Mhm.
I mean, he's amazing anyway, but he is
So-
amazing in that movie.
Hi, I'm Jesse Fleur. I work in tech. I work for a company that monitors the internet. I've been working a lot lately, and then we've got a lot of projects around the house. I have seen one episode of Wednesday. That's about all I've watched in the last, I don't even know how long.
Very festive.
How was
Very
it?
good.
I haven't
was
seen
good.
it yet.
Yeah, it was good.
Okay.
Yeah, other than that, I'm just working on projects around the house, like trying to level out ground for a greenhouse and all kinds of other stuff. That's about what I got going on.
Cool. Yep.
All right. Hi, guys. Hi, Clayton. Nice to meet you. My name is Bowen Browder. I am a local resident to Klamath Falls, and I am the vice board chair for Klamath Film. I have been part of the organization for about 4 to 5 years now. My normal day job is that I work just for the local county school district, but in my off time, not counting a little hiatus I've been on just for a tad, I also try to get involved as much as possible, not just with Klamath Film and all of its activities, but working as an actor, PA, doing any other sort of like artistic project, just as anything that can help me get more involved just with storytelling is something I'm a big fan of. Currently, I've been working on a short film of my own that I've been writing, and this Christmas break is something I've been gearing up for, of actually just finishing like the script and getting all of that, like at least at a state of, I'll say, completeness. Not that it will be all the way done, but something I will decide is like, all right, I'm not going to try to worry anymore on it. I'll just be working on that and sending it to some other screenwriters I know and just giving it critiques, since it will be the first script I will have officially written myself.
Congratulations.
Thank you. The goal is that whether it's not sure how long the actual production process will take, since that's another big deal, and that is a whole nother process of filmmaking, that my goal is that if I can actually get it done sometime next year, ideally over summer break, which I will have that free time, that should be a goal of mine. In the interim, though, some things that I've been watching recently is a couple of different options. Is that I've recently watched Transformers 1 with Chris Hemsworth and I forgot who plays Megatron.
Key or Peel?
Yeah, I can't quite remember. But that was an interesting movie. I mainly watched it because my partner really wanted to see it. She's a huge Transformers nerd.
Is that kind of 3D animated?
Sorry, John, I couldn't hear
Is
you.
that 3D animated kid version?
Yeah, it's the 3D one where it's not Optimus yet. His name is Orion Pax.
What was your overall feel of the movie?
In terms of actual like animation and art direction, I thought it was stellar. And I would say is that no other parts of the movie were like bad, but that if you are going to see the movie for any reason, do it for the visuals. And that like the actors, Chris is fine, although even by the end of it, he can't really do Peter Cullen's voice. And like, how could you like I mean,
No one can.
it's one of those things.
One
One of the
person can.
literally one of the most unique voices in all of cinema and animation. But he did a good job and essentially condensing the same arc that Anakin had over 3 movies into one was an interesting writing process I saw them try to achieve, and they didn't do poorly. So I would say best part were the visuals, and everything else was bare minimum B+. Outside of that, though, I have been, or I quickly watched the most pop culturally relevant episodes of Secret Level. So the D&D 40K and the what was the other one? I did watch the Pac-Man one, and I just watched the Mega Man one a while back, and they were good. I mean, the 40K one specifically was like the best of the bunch so far.
No way.
Oh yeah, and it was specifically made by, fun fact, I don't know how much of you guys would know about it. That episode was created by a guy who initially started on YouTube by making fan animations of like just 40K, and his animations were so good. Games Workshop actually brought him onto the company, hired him, and canonized the special like little like homemade chapter that he created for his animated shorts. So
that's great.
Yeah, they were that good. So he also helped with the animation for this episode, which is why it was top notch.
Yeah.
Outside
So
of that,
is this
though,
a Warhammer 40K?
Yeah, Warhammer 40K.
So I mean, what's his name? Henry Cavill's getting involved with the real thing. Are they bringing this guy in along with that to help him?
I don't know, since I don't know if the Project Cavill is involved with his animated or not.
I would imagine not.
I don't
Since-
think it is.
No, you're right.
I'm not sure. I'm not
You're
sure
right.
what exactly it would look like because I've heard nothing on it. And I mean, I would say I'm somewhat of a fan of 40K, but I don't follow it super closely. But
So what was so special about this one? This
this 40 or that episode, it was extremely stellar animation quality and essentially direction in terms of.
And this is a new one, right? That just came out.
Yeah, new
And
one.
what's the name of it again? I'm gonna write it down.
Well, the series is called Secret Level. It's made by the people who created Love, Death, and Robots.
Bro, okay.
So it's essentially it's a mini anthology of a bunch of little episodes that each focus subject wise on some other little like video game or more broadly like gaming piece of pop culture. Since there's a 40K one, but it covers the main character of the 40K video game, Warhammer 40K Space Marine 2. As well as like there's a D&D episode and a couple of other ones, full gambit. And I also saw the Armored Core one with Keanu Reeves, and that was pretty good.
Cool.
Is that streaming or is it on the?
It's streaming.
internet?
I believe it's on Paramount Plus.
Okay. Thank you.
Outside of that, though, my most anticipated thing, or the one that I've been, I guess, watching most often, and it's funny to me. I'm in a completely non-Christmas mindset for the time being because I've just been obsessed with the recent trailer release for 28 Years Later.
Oh my goodness, me too.
So, and also Sony announced that 28 Days Later is about to be released for streaming. I forget through which streaming service, but my plan now is so that I can go and watch 28 Days, then 28 Weeks Later, probably a couple more times in preparation for 28 Years Later.
Yeah, I heard it's not available on streaming anywhere.
No,
or
they
to
literally
rent it or
just
to
announced
buy it
that they are
or
going to
anything.
release it, which indicates to me that Sony has been tactically waiting for
Yes.
the exact time to release it.
That makes
Oh,
sense.
that is such a relief to know that it's coming to streaming because
Yeah.
I've been wanting to rewatch them for a while now.
Yep.
And then that trailer dropped. Oh, I'm so excited.
Yep.
Yeah.
So I mean, I definitely do plan to get into the Christmas spirit at some point, but now my mind is kind of just occupied by one zombies and then just the sound of boots.
Cool. Do you know if Alex Garland is involved in 28 weeks?
No.
No,
Or
28 years, sorry. Yeah.
Not sure.
Okay.
I'd have to look into it a little bit more.
Yeah.
It's one of those. They're movies that I saw when I was younger.
Yeah.
But like didn't really appreciate the complexities of them at least until now. So I'm wanting to rewatch it, and then I haven't looked into it too deeply, but we'll double check.
Yeah, I'm very interested because I know he wrote the first one.
Mhm.
So, and I'm a big fan of Alex Garland.
Mhm. And bare minimum, at least this trailer was captivating to me because it was the first like trailer I've seen in a long time that actually is a trailer and doesn't
Yes.
give out the
100%.
whole movie.
I
ahead of
see.
time.
I see. Well, have you seen the Superman trailer that came out this morning?
Ironically, you're not the first person to ask me that. I'm almost dreading watching it. And also for everyone there, I'm the resident Superman superfan. So I've been hearing the general populace's response on it thus far, and since it's relatively mixed, I'm almost scared to like look at it. But it's also one of those things that I might as well just not even watch any trailers for it, since I'll just want to have the full experience in the theater.
Sure. Well, you'll be happy to know that they give away nothing of the story in this teaser trailer.
Definitely mixed feelings for me on the trailer.
I heard that the color grading was a little bit weird, at least in the trailer.
It's interesting.
Okay.
It's interesting. John, have you seen quick segue? John, have you seen the Superman trailer?
No.
No?
I guess I'm in a little bit of a vacuum over here. Nothing new.
That's all right.
But I mean, I've only got Netflix right now, and of course, it seems like they have a lot of stuff, but a lot, you're like, well, I'll watch this sometime. But when you go look through the whole bunch of it, you're like, nothing ever sticks out that you really want to watch. But I did finally watch the Beef TV series.
Cool.
And that was a fun ride. That was all right. I somehow started watching that Space Force with what's his bucket from. Well, at least it's got John Malkovich in it, but the other guy from like Office, I don't know, it's Office Space or whatever it is. But it's not my. I'm not gonna recommend it. It's kind of
I've heard mixed things. John, would you like to introduce yourself and talk about some of the things you've been working on? Maybe
I've been in this town since '76. That'll tell you something there. So, but I've only been with Klamath Film for a number of years. Kind of got stuck dealing with my parents' estate, and hopefully we'll be done with that soon. Because I'd really like to get on with my project, which Kurt Ledke really got me. He's always bugging me. He was always like, "What have you done this week? What have you done this week?" And I'm like, "Nothing." So it was like, I said, "That's it. If I'm going to make a film, I want to make a cyberpunk film." And so something that's kind of what I want to do. Something that's kind of more on the. Cyberpunk's a hard thing because you can't make a cyberpunk film. It's like I just rewatched Altered Carbon again. It's like a lot of these things are technically cyberpunk, but nothing. It's like it's just something that happens. You don't ever make a project that's out to be it. It just is like I like Johnny Mnemonic. I know everybody kind of panned that back in the day, but that's to me like real cyberpunk. It was based off William Gibson stuff, but of course I like the Blade Runner stuff and everything else too. So I guess it's kind of more like the dystopian future thing, and as long as you throw in enough tech, then it becomes cyberpunk all of a sudden. It seems like that's what happens. But anyways, so I'm hoping to do that, but I might have to sharpen my chops a little bit or sharpen my teeth on helping some of you guys up with some things just to kind of get up to speed once I'm done over here.
Sure.
And then I can feel like I can, to the point where I can feel like I can do some justice to it, but we'll see. Anyway,
Totally.
that's me.
Well, I love to read screenplays, so whenever you get something written down, send it my way, and I'll give it a look.
I've definitely been keeping like a list of all the concepts I want. So every time I get, like an idea, you know how it is. It's like music or anything, get inspiration every now and then. You're like, you got to capture it when it comes. And so I'm always looking at another thing I really want with this is the music. And I think talking with our I'm forgetting everybody's name. What's our long-haired friend name there? Bowen, yes. So he sent me his list of cyberpunk stuff. I mean, I really like the mid-tempo type of music feel. I think that would just be an awesome thing, because to me it's like music and the sound is an important part, of course. Not just the visuals, it's got to be both. I mean, that's not to say... It's like even with the new Blade Runner, the only thing that threw me off is every time they do like that false rev up and rev down, like and I'm like, there's no cars, guys. They're all flying. Nobody's revving up an engine. I don't know. That's the only thing I didn't like about it. But it's great sound otherwise, of course.
Totally.
Anyways, I'm gonna. The only other thing I've been really enjoying doing, to be honest, watching reaction videos to people like watching movies for the first time. I guess I'm getting old enough that it's kind of like you just want to enjoy those movies you enjoyed in the past and seeing it through, fresh eyes. And it's been enjoyable. What can I say?
Not to nerd out for a second, but just from like from a comm science background, reaction videos are just a really interesting expression of parasocial enjoyment.
Interesting.
Wherein parasocial interactions are things where anytime that if you see people like either closely following a celebrity or even things like a YouTuber who has a community of fans around them that they are able to interact with a little bit more closely, it creates something called parasocial because it's a semblance of a two-way relationship, but really it's only ever one-sided. And that it creates something where you can still enjoy and develop a bond with a person through, the screen, through digital media, but it is at least a relatively one-sided affair. But in the case of like reaction videos, it's interesting because then you can empathize and relate to people who are reacting to things for the first time, especially for things that you were also fans of, and watching that validation can be very interesting. Sorry, not to hijack everything you were saying.
No.
All my favorite
I think
podcast hosts are my best friends. Everyone.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like
personally.
seeing people watch Alien for the first time, or The Thing, Don Carpenter's, just scary stuff, or just what are some of the other ones? I started making a list of all like all kinds of movies, but Matrix. Well, I don't know. They even got Kill Bill and other stuff. I mean, it's just like you get to enjoy the movie again because you're doing it with somebody who hasn't seen it. I mean, it's just like I think of it like the parent idea, like you're having your kids watch movies you enjoyed growing up, stuff like that. And there's just something about it. I guess I'm getting to that age where you want to kind of enjoy. You're looking back, not just always looking forward. So, oh well,
Totally.
Well,
it is now 7:00. We've delayed for far too long. Clayton, how are you? I'm glad you're here. I want to introduce you. I have here written down that Clayton Moore is an American actor best known for playing the fictional character the Lone Ranger on TV from 1949 to 1957, and you died in 1999. So, how was that? Terrible. What's up, Clayton? How are you?
Did you transfer your memories to the new clone here, or what?
Yeah.
So it's the first time you've ever heard anything like that.
I have seen my own tombstone. It's kind of unsettling. But anyways, yeah, good to be here, guys. Thanks for having me, and girls, ladies and gentlemen.
I like your backdrop with all your little fun, all your
Thank you.
nernies back there.
Thank you. I am a huge Star Wars nerd, sci-fi nerd overall as well. I'm a big fan of physical media. So when you were talking about not being able to stream 28 days later, I was looking back at my physical copy of it. So
Good. You're in the clear.
I got
It
it.
was a little bit before my time, unfortunately.
Yeah.
First released.
But anyways, yeah, I live in Las Vegas, Nevada. I've been here 21 years. I got started my career as a news cameraman. And then I moved into working at a production company as a shooter and an editor and kind of doing a little bit of everything there. And then after that, I went freelance, and I've been freelance for 15 years. I now have my own production company, and I also serve as a freelance cinematographer and camera operator. And I have an associate's degree in graphic design and a bachelor's degree in film from UNLV. What I've been watching lately, I haven't actually not had any time to watch any Christmas movies.
Good. You've been working then?
I've been working a lot, and I have a 3-year-old, so do the math. Doesn't leave much time for anything else. But when I do have time, I like to watch. I just like to put on old comfort movies like Star Wars, or I like to watch Red Letter Media on YouTube. Or I did recently watch Tremors. So I revisited Tremors. I love those movies.
Any plans to watch the Star Wars Christmas special?
No.
No, I've never actually gotten through that all the way. I've watched it, but I've just heard it's so bad. I just don't
Oh
even.
yeah, yeah, it's an
Yeah.
experience. We'll leave it at that. You know, it's kind of funny. I was able to, well, I mean, I was able to download the despecialized Star Wars, and I gotta admit, it's fantastic.
Yeah,
It's
I
like the
have heard on
real
great.
deal
Yeah,
compared to the new stuff, which always irked me.
yeah,
You know, with you know Lucas always wanting to change things.
yeah,
So yeah, I mean, it's just so amazing to see it. Like when you get that real feel, like yeah, Han Solo shot first, all that stuff.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
I'm just a casual Star Wars fan. Has anybody seen the Christmas special, the Star Wars Christmas? So
I think I have, but I mean, I mean, you got to
I,
remember the history there. They threw that in because they thought Star Wars is gonna, they were afraid that it wasn't gonna pan out, and they wanted to get some excitement, so they kludged this horrible thing together. No,
right. My question is, does Christmas exist in space? There's not a Jesus, right?
I mean, there's
I
no
don't know.
Earth explosions exist in space, so
Right, okay, sure,
it's
right.
possible.
So I'm just curious as
Okay,
to
so-
what is the Christmas special?
oh my
The
gosh,
Christmas special, the original one, focused around getting Chewie back home to his family to do a not really like Christian thing. It was a celebration of life force and
Uh-huh.
of the force
Okay,
was the
Makes
reasoning
sense.
behind their version of
the Fourth's birthday.
Mhm.
Right, right. Okay.
So the new one
Hearing that
is
from a
it?
casual Star Wars fan is
I
really
don't-
funny.
What did they do with the new one? Did they do something different, or is it just I don't know.
Is there a new Christmas special?
I hope not.
There's a Lego one.
What are you talking
No,
about?
the one that I initially brought up just as a joke, it was released
Oh.
like in the 80s or like right after the
Yeah.
original was released.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
To
Wow.
be fair, though, most of our Christmas traditions aren't based on Christianity.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. Yeah. I was just curious.
Santa
It's
is
like,
red because of Coca-Cola.
yeah. How do you do
Darn
Christmas in a fan, and it's not fantasy, but it's fantasy. So how do
Yeah.
you do Christmas in
Science.
space, you know? Yeah, so Clayton, I met you on set of Ernie and Emma, the Bruce Campbell project. I don't shut up about it. You were the camera op for Ernie and Emma, and I think you were brought on through Kurt Roth, who we had a couple of months ago. He was the director of photography for that project. We had him here to do this too. So how long have you known? Is that right? Did you get brought on through Kurt, or how long have you known him? What was that process like? Hey,
Yeah, so I met Kurt when I first moved to Las Vegas and was getting into like more of the production side of things after I left news. I didn't last long in news. And so I always wanted to get into more production, but news was like a good entry point for me and for anyone else really that wants to learn about cameras and storytelling and editing. But anyways, I've known Kurt for probably almost 20 years now. And so yeah, obviously over that time, we've always talked about film ideas, doing projects together. We do frequently work on commercial projects together here in Las Vegas. But he shot a movie with Bruce called My Name is Bruce. And that was already like 10 or 15 years ago now. And so,
I think closer to 20.
yeah, I think it was like '09 or so, somewhere in there. But anyways, he was, or maybe even sooner. But yeah, he's been talking to Bruce about doing another project together. And so, I've heard him talking about it for a couple years, and I was like, well, yeah, whatever, we'll see. And it's never gonna happen. And then it finally did. And as you know, we all came into Medford and our Ashland area and shot a movie. So it finally happened. It was a blast. And yeah, Kurt was I was one of the first people he called to come up and help him out and join the team.
Totally. That's great. I have a question for you about what was your experience like in news, being a camera op for news? Because that's something that I've thought about doing for a long time, and I've had a handful of opportunities to do, but I was sort of scared of like the fast-paced environment. And what was it like? How long did you work in news? What was the responsibilities sort of like for you?
Yeah, so it was like I was just graduated from my associate's degree, and I didn't really have anything going on. My uncle worked at a news station in Montana, so it was this pretty small market. And so he got me on. He convinced me to come in, and I went in for an interview and I got the job. And it's it's very hectic. It's very trial by fire. But like I said, it's like a really great way to learn quickly and just get up on your feet and be confident with yourself as far as your storytelling and your structuring of how you shoot a story, tell a story, edit a story. Um, so it's great.
What
And
were
that, I
your
mean,
duties there? I mean, what was your job description?
so the first job I got, I was the weekend photographer. So, which was really nice because I would work Friday night and then Saturday, Sunday. And so on Friday night, I was kind of like low on the totem pole, and I would go out and cover like a lot of the sports games around town. And that this is a small market in Montana, so high school football, high school basketball, it's all pretty big deal. You rarely will get breaking news or anything crazy. So Friday night was mostly sports, and then kind of hanging out at the station, listening to the scanner, seeing if anything comes up. Saturday and Sunday, I would be paired up with a reporter, and we would usually go out and do, two or three stories. One of those stories would be a little bit more of a longer format, like maybe a 2 minute, 90 second to 2 minute, what they would call a package. And that would feature B-roll and interviews with someone. And then after we did that, the reporter would go back to the station and work on that story, and I would go around town and kind of one man band and get B-roll or even do some interviews sometimes for kind of other smaller stories that would only get like 30 seconds on air. And so spent a lot of time in the car driving around, and you get to see a lot of things and see a lot of cool places that a lot of people don't get to see normally. And if something crazy is going on in your town, you get to be right there on the doorstep of it and capturing it. Um, but in that same vein, personally, it burned me out pretty quick, and it was it really did help me develop a documentary approach to how I tell stories, and I think the whole experience was very useful for me, and very useful as a nice foundation to my, cinematography career and my narrative career. But yeah, I got burnt out on it. And so that's how I got to Vegas was I applied for a job at a bigger news station in Las Vegas. And that's when I was full time, basically, Monday through Friday. And that was, you name it, we were shooting it. Fires, car crash, all that kind of stuff. So if you see enough dead bodies and you kind of get sick of it.
Yeah, totally. How long did you do that for? The
I,
news?
I did that for about 3 years.
Yeah, yeah. I imagine it can get a little grating.
Yeah. I mean, some people thrive
Intense.
on it, and I still will get like a little bit of an adrenaline rush if I see fire trucks racing by or something, but it's just not for me. It was crazy.
Totally.
It was fun, but crazy.
Do you have a moment that sort of stuck out to you? Not necessarily like I don't want to get like crazy, like horrific or anything, but did you have a moment where let's talk about let's make it about shooting, right? Did you have a moment where it was like I don't know, something that sticks out to you where it was really cool to shoot it specifically? Maybe it was a beautiful location or it was an event that happened or what sticks out to you about that job?
Yeah, so the big thing that I noticed that burned me out was moving to the bigger market of Las Vegas. And what I was missing was the slower pace and the storytelling that I had in Montana. And so, chasing ambulances, breaking news every day, setting up live shots every day was like not my thing. I was really interested more in storytelling, that I was kind of being able to craft the story as I did in Montana. And a couple of those once you were at the station for a while in Montana, they started to trust you more. And so they would actually send me out to do my own story. And I could track it if I wanted to with my voice. But typically what you do is it would just be kind of montage with B-roll and sound bites from people that I interviewed. And a couple events I did where one was like I don't remember what it's called, but there's a sport where you get on skis and you are pulled behind a horse,
Cool.
and the horse runs through this course and you're like going over jumps and stuff. And that was one of the first times where I had the entire creative control of telling the story, and I just had a lot of fun with it, and I got a lot of cool angles and made sure to get interviews with people that, told the story in their words, because I didn't want to use my voice, and so that made me think like, okay, I need to guide these people when I'm interviewing them so that they tell the story in their words. And
Totally.
and that's like a skill that I learned quickly and I still use to this day when I do documentary work.
Very cool. Now, was this all pre or post film school for you?
This was actually pre-film school, so I graduated high school in 2000. And I go to get my associate's degree in graphic design, and it was like a 2-year program. 9/11 happens, and the job market is completely, non-existent. Is like no one knew what was going on. So I moved back home to Montana, kind of get my bearings. And that's when I got the job at the news station. And then so after I moved to Vegas, I actually didn't go back to for my film degree until like 2009. And then it took me a while to finish it because I was working full time at the same time, and I was just very busy. And, at some point it kind of got to the back burner, and I was like, well, I'll finish someday, and I just never did. But then right before my son was born, I was like, it's now or never. I'm never gonna have time to do this again. So I hunkered down and I finished like my last 2 semesters and got my degree. So I'm very proud of that. But yeah, it was cool because when I got started in news, I basically knew nothing about camera work. Like I knew what I liked, and I knew like if I saw something that was cool or that I liked, I was like, okay, I like that. I don't know why, or I don't know how to reproduce that, but I'm gonna try, and I want to learn how to do that. So a lot of it was self-taught, a lot of it was learned on the job. And another interesting note was the time frame of that was like analog was just starting to phase out at that time, and I learned everything on analog. I learned everything on tape and film, and then I actually took part in like moving into the digital age with mini DV and Betacam and Digibeta and all that. So that was a really cool transition to see as well. And I had to fight my way through early versions of Final Cut Pro, crashing my computer and losing projects, and it's not something I want to go back to.
Terrible.
I'm trying to be as polite as possible because I didn't want to interrupt as well. During that transition, did you have kind of your own equivalent of like a Technicolor moment of like going back to like the very first broadcast that transitioned from black and white to color television, of where you saw what the new technology can do and you were just like, wow.
Yeah, I mean, so the news station in Montana was obviously a lower market. They have lower budgets and everything. So everything there was tape based. I got very good at editing tape to tape on two tape decks, but because their nonlinear system there was like Premiere 2.0 or something, and it was like basically useless. You had to do your project and then render it like overnight to be able to watch anything. So I just got really proficient at the tape to tape machines. And for a while there, that was my jam. But when things finally caught up technology wise, and then when I moved to Vegas and got onto some real beefed up systems, um, it's like, okay, so this is a thing, non-linear, I can move clips around and stuff. Like this is totally a game changer. Obviously, you didn't have to like edit everything in order, and God forbid you mess up, you gotta start over again.
So
So
which NLE do you like now?
I just use Premiere now. I learned on Premiere. I used Final Cut Pro for a while, but then I feel like Apple kind of gutted it. So when that happened, I switched back to Premiere, and I've just been on there ever since. But I do try to not edit that much. I don't enjoy editing,
It
but
sucks you in.
I can do it, but yeah, I don't love it.
It's a lot. It's time consuming. It's tedious.
That's the thing, because there's never an end. It's like that you could send it off and the client would come back and you could just have endless notes.
Yeah.
Oh, it's that's the thing with me. It's like it's never an end.
Well,
Whereas if
this is
you're
done.
in production, like and once the day's over, you're done.
Hands free.
Usually.
Usually. I had a question for you. What do you, because I know film school is sort of divisive for a lot of people. A lot of people will think that it's good for you and it's good for you learn like theory and stuff like that, and then it gets you those connections and the networking and stuff, but you can save so much money and do a lot just by getting the experience yourself and just jumping straight into it. What do you think about like film school versus not film school? Now that you've kind of done both, you did sort of jump and learn a lot on your own, and then what do you have any regrets of film school? I know you said you're proud of it, but like, do you how do you think that helped your career?
Stole my question.
I have no regrets of film school at all. It was something that from the beginning, like when I was self-taught and learning everything on the job doing news, I always wanted that further understanding of things. Like I knew how to do things, I wanted to know why to do them. And so it's not for everyone. You only will get out of it what you put into it. And yes, there's a lot of technical information out there. By all means, you can learn how to do what we do by doing it. That's definitely the best way to do it. Um, but personally for me, like I just wanted a little bit more of a well-rounded education and foundation of cinema knowledge and just kind of learning how the history of cinema was and learning a little more about storytelling. And that's another thing with film school too, is you can take writing class, you can take acting classes. So it was nice to approach the process from those different you know jobs. And the biggest benefit of it is the networking, like the people you meet there, because basically the core group of filmmakers that I met and went through school with are still the people I work with to this day. And if I have a job come in and I need more crew, like that's the first people I call, because we go way back. We gel together. I know I can trust them. That's how I got Rob onto the Ernie and Emma movie too, because we went to film school together. And so he's been one of my closest collaborators ever since I met him. And I never would have met him if I didn't go to film school.
Totally. Yeah, I
Oh,
was wondering about. Go ahead.
oh yeah. So I was just gonna say, like, definitely not for everyone. And if you can't afford it, then don't do it. But you could still go to the film school. You could sit in on classes, maybe. You could reach out to the students, say, hey, let me help you on your films. You know,
Interesting.
yeah.
Because
So,
they always need it. I never thought about
oh
that.
yeah,
Like reaching out to the students to be like, I know you need the help. I got it. Um,
yeah. And some schools might have rules about that or whatever, but because obviously they want their students to have first opportunity to be on the sets, but you know.
totally. Totally. Very cool. Very cool. Yeah, I was wondering if you were going to mention Rob. I think I might reach out to Rob soon to ask him to
Yeah,
do one
he'd
of
be
these. Do you
good.
think? Yeah,
He'd be
because
good, yeah.
yeah, Kurt recommended that I ask you too, because you were on the list, but Kurt
Yeah.
was like, "Oh no, Clayton and Rob both would be great. They would love to do this." So
Yeah.
I might
Yeah.
ask Rob next.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, does anybody have any questions so far for Clayton?
How many news stories in Montana revolved around moose or elk?
Oh man, not many that I remember. I can imagine maybe there was one time that one got hit on a highway, but not too many.
Yeah. Big
Oh,
mess.
you want to hear a crazy story? Um, I was
No.
Not interested.
I was working the weekend shift. Okay, this is insane. So my job during the week was I was working at a community TV station there. I was technical directing and doing all that. So my job on the weekend at the news station, I was sitting in the newsroom one day and I heard a call on the scanner that a pedestrian had been hit on the highway. And I was like, okay, that's odd. People don't usually walk on the highway. Maybe it was a hitchhiker or something. So, anyways, it sounded pretty serious. I got in the car, I drove out there, and come to find out, it's actually someone I knew from working at the other TV station because you could come in and do your own TV shows and stuff there. So I was one of the people from one of the TV shows I worked on there. And they actually passed away. And I covered the entire event. Like I got there early enough or I saw them loading her into the helicopter taking off. And I hate like it's weird because the whole time I was documenting this tragedy and at the same time I was like I know that person and I'm like documenting their last moments. So that was really weird and that was a kind of a wake up call to me too like just the impact that like your images could have and the way you tell a story and sometimes in that in that profession especially you have to just kind of maintain your focus and tell the story first and then
Totally.
read,
Yeah.
To to whatever extent, I mean, by no means would I be able to like attest to this myself, or would say like cinematographers or camera people in general do that. But I think there's a very common idea of like good camera people, good cinematographers. They essentially they try to blend in behind their camera so that they're not, they're not the focus of attention. But especially in situations like that where that you have some sort of fundamental connection to actually what's happening, it probably feels a bit surreal to feel like you're both behind the camera and a part of you is in front of it.
yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. And to that note too, like I have filmed surgery and stuff before. Like open heart type surgeries and it's
That's gotta
like
be cool.
it's cool, but I don't do blood. I don't do that stuff.
Yeah.
So
That's always my
but
least favorite part
when
of my wife's favorite TLC shows. I hate I'd skip it.
but there's something about looking at it through a camera. It's like a shield.
Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
totally.
One
There's
Now
that
it's movie
distance.
magic. That's all,
And somehow I
makeup
ended up
and
doing horror movies. So
Well, Clayton, I gotta ask the follow-up question there. How did she get hit on the highway? Was she changing a tire or what? What
no,
was the situation that?
very tragic. So this it was actually a group of senior citizens and their show on the other TV station I worked at, they did a polka show
Mhm.
where they would have these polka dances and they would just film people dancing. So it was a whole group of them out there doing like a adopt a highway cleanup and a drunk driver just nailed it.
Oh man.
It was
Oh,
terrible. It was terrible. So all the people out there, I knew everyone out there. And they're all breaking down crying. I got shots of the guy sitting by his truck crying because he just killed this lady and
well, how old was the lady that got killed?
I think she was in her 60s or 70s.
Okay, all right,
They were all like senior citizens.
okay,
It was tragic. It was
yeah,
like
but still, yeah, it's
that
just so sad.
that the images I shot that day I can still see them like perfectly clear.
yeah.
I still remember like everything that happened that day. It was insane.
I mean, I lost a friend in high school because he's working at night and got hit by a drunk driver. It's like
That's
it's
wild.
hard to imagine life over
Yeah.
that soon in life
Yeah.
for that reason. It's just. I mean, but so I'm glad she got at least 60 years in, but still, it's just
Yeah,
it's so I mean, it's one of the reasons I don't drink.
yeah.
I don't want to be a part of it.
No.
Too many lives have been ruined. I'm like, there's
Yep.
no need for this stuff. It
Not
just
worth it.
isn't.
Not worth it.
Oh, I had another question. Just from the general cinematography angle, is there any ones or like any person's or I guess any director's style of cinematography that you either try or want to emulate more or incorporate into your own shooting?
Yeah, so there's two approaches to that for me.
Then I came back.
One is Roger Deakins. It's probably like the answer everyone says. But I generally don't have the budget to do what he can do because his rigs are always insanely huge. But you know, he gets great results. It's well worth it, the work that he does and the money they spend on him. But on a more realistic level, I'm a huge fan of M. David Mullen. And I don't know if you've heard of him, but he takes a very realistic approach to his lighting, and more importantly, he takes a very simple approach to things.
So just straightforward.
Yeah. And that's pretty much always been my mantra too, is to keep it simple and naturalistic looking.
Totally, totally. What's
You know, go ahead.
what were some of his works?
M. David Mullen.
Yeah.
Okay, he did Aquila and the Bee. He did
Okay.
Megan's Body. He did North Fork. He did a movie called Jackpot, which was actually the first film shot on the Sony F900, fully digital. Recently he's doing Mabel. What's that show called? Marvelous Mrs. Mabel.
Right,
Mabel.
yeah.
So he's doing that, and then he's done Big Love. I think that was an HBO show. He's done a ton of stuff.
Cool.
Yeah.
What's the most, I guess, what's the most impactful shot that you've seen from I guess from any source that has had the biggest
man.
impact on your on your also own personal approach to cinematography? I know, a very big question, but
Something
man.
you just love.
You know, it's gonna go back to like when I was younger and just like Empire Strikes Back. Like, not only am I just a huge Star Wars fan in general, but I think something about that movie, the cinematography in it is like just gorgeous. Like every frame of that movie is beautiful. Um, I don't feel like that's like an epic enough answer, but it's the most honest one I have at the moment.
No, that's great. That's absolutely great. Yeah. It's
It always comes back to
crazy one
Star
either.
Wars
No,
somehow.
I mean,
greatness
let's
comes
be
from small
honest.
moments.
It's the best of the Star Wars movies.
It is. Like all the
It
stuff
just-
on Cloud City is just gorgeous.
Yeah,
Oh,
I will
yeah.
say the shot of Luke looking out to Tatooine during the twilight of the twin suns, that
Yeah.
is like,
It's pretty iconic.
yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. You mentioned working in horror earlier. I have that you worked on a movie called Superhost and another one called The Puppetman. What got you into horror? Are you a horror fan?
Yeah, I mean, I've always kind of been a horror fan. Like growing up, when we used to go to these places called video stores where you would rent VHS tape, we would often just find ourselves in the horror section getting, you know, Friday the 13th and
They got the craziest
all
cover
that stuff.
section,
Yeah,
dude.
the cover art. It was the cover art which always sucked you in.
Absolutely.
Oh, this looks awesome. We gotta watch it. So we'd always
Mhm.
get the horror movies, and I always liked horror. Horror happens to be like a really easy genre to sell on a lower budget too. So I think you'll see a lot of lower budget films will kind of tend to go into that direction because it is an easy sell. And so it just kind of worked out that way where I'm kind of in that world now. I've done 8 feature film horror films, and Ernie and Emma was the first like comedy drama romantic comedy that I've ever
From a
done.
horror icon, and it's not a
Yeah,
horror.
yeah, right, right.
How
So I was
funny
like,
is
oh,
that?
Bruce Campbell, it's not a horror film. Oh, that's interesting.
Okay. We're all doing something different today, aren't we?
Mhm.
So, you're of the projects you're. I mean, what do you want to do? What are the things you've really enjoyed doing?
I mean, ultimately,
Theme
like
wise, yeah.
ultimately, like I enjoy doing documentary stuff, and it kind of brings me back to my news days in that sense. But narratively, I want to do, I like to do period pieces, and my dream would probably be to just do like a Western or just like a character drama, you know, one where people aren't stabbing each other to death and stuff.
Why westerns
Not that there's anything wrong with that.
or why westerns in particular?
I don't know. I grew up in Montana, and I just miss,
I really appreciate the subtle like sarcasm. It's good.
I miss the well, I didn't mean it that way, but I just
Oh, yeah.
kind of miss the scope of the
Yeah.
countryside and the scenery.
Yeah, because I was part of
Well,
it is too the biggest keynote features I've always seen from westerns from the cinematography standpoint is that they let you sit in the environment
Yeah.
for a good while and they kind of let so many shots linger. And of course, like a big part of it is that, you know, there's a reason why the standoff scenes are always so impactful is that, you know, just with a simple shot, standing in the moment for that much longer, it contributes. So I think it's always interesting of looking at the pacing of westerns among other, you know, genres and subgenres, but seeing how you can really how much oomph that style of cinematography puts into kind of letting the viewer sit and feel like that they're in the world.
Well, you know, it's
Yeah.
interesting. There's a lot of these modern TV series that are all kind of playing off of the ranch. You know, it's like a modern day cowboy thing. It's not like cowboys and Indians, but it's still kind of like on the ranch and all the drama or other things that go on. And I can't remember all the
Like
ones.
Yellowstone?
Yeah, Yellowstone, you know, and there's even, of course, the one I
A
like
bunch
that
of
threw in the
spin-offs.
sci-fi thing with the, you know, with the big hole in the ground. That one was kind of fun.
Oh yeah.
You know, like something range or outer range, something like that. But you know, it's like something happens, but in this setting. But you know, your idea of doing it in Montana, you know, I don't know if there's really been that many westerns that have been done in Montana, and it would be. I mean, I've driven through Montana like only a few times, and there was just some of those scenes from the highway where it was that, you know, big sky country. It's like you just have this, just a vast view
Oh yeah.
way out there, and then you have the big
Wide open
mountains.
spaces.
I mean, it's really something, and you'd only get it there, you know. I think it would be cool to have something that could just really suck you into that. It would be kind of cool, actually.
Yeah. And I just shot a season of a PBS show called Outdoor Nevada.
Hmm.
And we traveled all over the state of Nevada, all the way up north, and there's like similar vistas up that way too, and it just kind of got it back into my mind again, like I want to do a Western.
I hope you brought extra gas cans if you're
Oh
going
yeah,
up north.
yeah.
Man,
But
I tell
yeah,
you, that place, I'm like, you make a mistake,
oh, it's
nobody's
unforgiving.
finding you
Yeah,
ever.
yeah. But I like the challenge of shooting outdoors, um, until I'm actually in the thick of it. And then I'm like, oh, I wish we were in a studio today.
Man, I love talking about how much I like facing
Oh
challenges
man.
until I'm actually facing them.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm great in challenges. Challenge me, I dare. Please don't. Yeah.
Well, like for
Well,
example, the last movie I just did was up in Calgary, and it we were having problems locking in locations and stuff the whole time. And so one day we just decided, okay, we're gonna steal this location and we're just gonna shut down this road and shoot this scene on the side of the road. And it was like, okay, that was not on my bingo card for the day, but we have to do it. So let's make it work.
Yeah.
And that's when you just put it in gear and kind of get going. And
Totally.
it turned out great.
Yeah. Were there any like big challenges that you had to overcome on Ernie and Emma? From my perspective, it was like pretty smooth sailing, but you know, you're like right there in it, you know.
I think I mean, Not really. It sounds crazy, but the movie was so smooth overall.
Hmm.
It really was. It was like such a pleasurable experience. Um, I think the biggest adjustment for me was like getting used to Bruce working in such a like a fast pace. Like he would only do 2 or 3 takes sometimes. So, and he just, the way he works was really great. He's very respectful of the crew and kept everyone to like manageable days. We never really went into overtime, I don't think. Um, which was great, but at the same time, it's like you just really have to stay on course all day. And his professionalism was really great in that regard, and just the way that he led the ship, through the whole course of production. And yeah, I mean he's I respect him because he knows what he wants, and since he was the director and the actor, um, it was a little unconventional because he would do a take. We might see something that he wouldn't see because he was not looking at the screen, but he's like, "Yeah, I got it." And so just that's important too, as a director to have such a clear vision of what they want. And especially when you're on a lower budget or a tighter schedule, there has to be like one unified vision.
Hmm.
And otherwise you're gonna go over budget over time all the time.
Totally.
I think if I remember, it was Quentin Tarantino that said like the one actual job of a director is to have the vision
Hmm.
Yeah, yeah,
to and to keep that going in so that you can be able to describe it, elaborate on it, and
yeah,
articulate it to all of the other experts in their fields that can help bring that vision about.
yeah. And the job of the DP is to give the director as much time as possible with the actors.
Totally. Totally. So there was no hiccup with lighting or I don't know,
Yeah, I
anything.
mean, there's hiccups on everything.
Sure.
There's hiccups on everything, but
No
nothing
massive challenge.
from my perspective, it was a little easier because I was camera operator, and so I was leaning on Kurt a lot to make a lot of the bigger DP decisions, even though me and him were also very closely working together, and since we have a long working relationship, he asked me for advice on a lot of things as well, which I gave him input on things. But overall, just tackling the scenes together and the way we shot it too, we had 2 cameras. So we pretty much shot the whole movie with 2 cameras at all times. Traditionally, I like to go single camera, but there was no denying that we got through our days faster by shooting 2 cameras.
You cut the work in half, kind of.
Yeah, and you don't burn your actors out as much because
Hmm.
you can get a wide shot and a tighter kind of at the same time,
Hmm.
so yeah, I mean, little things here and there along the way, but nothing that would be like make me run to the Hollywood Reporter and gab about.
Totally.
Yeah,
Totally. Totally.
it was overall pretty drama free,
It was. It
which
was.
is rare.
Yeah. I was so, and I know I have terrible expectations for the next thing now, whatever that may be, right?
Yeah, the only way to
It
go
was
from there is down. So,
exactly, exactly. It was so nice and so
so
awesome.
on my next movie out, there was a point where I was texting my wife and I was like, I don't want to make movies anymore.
Let's talk about that though. I want to hear about something that sucks and then how you overcome that. You know what I mean?
Man, it's one of those things where like pre-production is the
So
best
important.
because pre-production is very important because it's when you can do things, it doesn't cost you any money. You can rewrite scenes, you can come up with ideas. If the ideas suck, you could throw them out. But once you start shooting, like the plane is in the air, you know? And so this was just a situation where little things kind of kept little things where the ball was dropped kind of kept adding up. And then you get through week 1 and you're like, okay, we're just rolling with the punches here. You get through week 2 and you start to really feel things not going, starting to go off the rails a bit. And then you get to week 3 and you're just like ready to quit. And so that was the point I was at, and I was texting my wife, and then And then of course week 4 you're like, oh shit, we're almost already done. So everyone gets a boost of morale again and we finish on a high note. Um but yeah, it was just, and part of it, like I said, it was a lot of overnights working outside in Calgary in October, November. So it was cold, you know. It
Yeah.
was miserable. We got one of our days we got snowed out. It wasn't supposed to snow. And the only day that it snowed was the day we were doing like exterior driving shots. So of course, we
Mhm.
had no cover set to go to. So we were basically just screwed, waiting for the snow to melt off.
Yeah. So what'd you do that day? Did you just sit around and chill?
Hell no,
And
hell no, hell no.
what do you do?
Director, excuse me, the director got a leaf blower and started blowing the snow out of the background of the shots.
Okay.
And we had like 3 leaf blowers going, and 2 hours later we got our shots.
All
So,
right.
so what was the theme of that movie? I mean, what was the whole? Was it a drama or what was it?
Well, it's a horror. It's
Oh,
kind
okay.
of a throwback to an 80s horror flick. So, it's called Night of the Reaper.
Hmm.
And there's just a dude with a mask going around murdering people with a big knife. So it was just kind of leaned into all the tropes of that era, and we had period correct cars and houses and props and stuff. So that was another challenge as well, trying to shoot a fairly low budget movie uh as a period piece, and we had to keep
Mhm.
everything like within an 80s window. So, try sourcing that stuff that's 40, 50 years old now on a budget. Cars, police cars, TVs that work. We lost an entire like 5 or 6 hours of our day one time because no one made sure that the TV worked.
Oh my God.
When we finally got one that did work, it was a black and white TV. We needed a color. So
Cool.
it's like stuff like that, it's like
Little things that
little
pile up.
things, man.
Yeah. Well, we're about 15 minutes out from the end here. I just wanted to give everybody an opportunity to ask a question if they've been holding on to one for a while. It looks like Jude might have a question.
Yeah, I kind of have two because we keep on brushing on the topic of like outside shots and location scouting, like where to do. What's your biggest I guess like tip or trick that you learned from these for how to deal with those outside shots and for like finding those locations? Like what do you think is your favorite piece of wisdom for handling those outside shots?
Uh, I would say that it's very important to have your entire crew present on a tech scout or a location scout. And, try not to get into battles that you know you can't win. Like if and technology has helped a lot with this because there's apps on your phone now, Sunseeker, you can see where the sun's going to be. So in that case, if you know the sun's going to be here, front lighting your scene, the way the director wants to shoot it, it's your job to say, hey, this is not going to work as well as if we turned everything around and the sun is behind us all day. Because otherwise, if you're front lit, that's a look if you want it, it's fine. Generally, you don't. But if you're front lit, then you're suddenly having to throw up 20 by 20 by screens, diffusions, flags, and it just makes a lot more extra work. And going into this project, I knew that my grip and electric team was like 3 guys. So there's no time for putting up 20 buys. Um, just turning a scene around and moving all that gack is going to take, 30, 40 minutes. So the simplest solution is usually the best. And so it's important to be there on the location, the actual spot you're going to shoot, and just hopefully at the same time you're going to shoot as well. And just simplify, simplify, simplify.
Mhm.
There's no need to overcomplicate things. That's the biggest advice I could always give is just keep it simple. Because at the end of the day, like, yeah, we talked about like an impactful shot that is memorable to me, but the most value you can bring to a project is giving the director more time. Because the most important thing to the movie is the actors on the screen, you know. And so,
Absolutely. Give them
what was the other
work.
part of your question?
I mean, like you pretty much covered it. It was like
Yeah.
shooting outside, how to handle that, and then also like the location scouting, like finding the location that you want to shoot in.
Yeah, it's like generally I'm not involved in scouting, but or finding the location. That would be like the locations department, but certainly weigh in if you have a opinion on something. Weigh in when they show you options, and because sometimes I've been guilty of this too. It's like, oh, this will be our easiest option, but it's not necessarily the right option. And just because some one option, this house versus this house is going to be easier to shoot at, if it's not right for the movie, it's not worth doing it.
Totally.
So it goes back to like the vision thing again, like have a vision of what you want, stick to it, and don't compromise. And be like, no, it has to be this house. And I know this house is going to be a pain in the ass, but it's going to be better for the movie. And in the end, that's all that matters is what's on the screen. So
Push for it. Fight for it.
yeah, you got to push for it. You got to fight for it. You got to make it work. But at the same time, simplify it. Don't get into a fight you can't win.
Totally. Um, one of our board members, Stephen Cardell, you probably met him at the film festival. He was an older guy and he worked at the front desk a lot. He was a location manager for and a location scout for several decades in Hollywood. So
Well, not for
well, no. He's in Medford now, so he's trying. It's not the same workflow, but yeah, if you're interested, I can hook you up with him, and if you had any specific questions about location scouting, then he would be a good resource for you.
Mhm.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any more questions? We've got about 9 more minutes before we want to wrap up. Hey Anthony, how's it going?
Hello. I would like to ask if you could elaborate more on the natural shots. I've been thinking myself, Hollywood has that view of like the blurred background constantly, not really showing much of the story behind the human characters. So I was curious about like, is it better to shoot with the blurred background, or does that make it just a YouTube shot?
Not necessarily. I think it's definitely been since the DSLR revolution, suddenly everyone could open their lens wide open and get that blurred background. It's just part of the toolkit, it's a narrative toolkit. So learning all the technical things helps you better make your decisions onto what's right for the story. Um, if you're shooting a Western, I'm shooting a huge wide shot and I'm stopping down to like 5.6 or an 8. Like it's gonna be sharp. You're gonna see everything. You're gonna feel the distance of these spaces. If it's a quiet, intimate moment between two people, I'm gonna open up the lens. I'm gonna blur out the background because that's gonna really draw the viewer into what they're saying, looking at their faces, not being distracted by anything in the background. So it all goes back to the story, and it all goes back to like what tools do you have to tell that story visually? And so depth of field, depth of focus, your aperture setting, your ND in front of the lens, that's all part of making those storytelling decisions, which are driven by the story.
Totally.
You
Couldn't
say?
have said it better myself.
How much of the decision on how much who makes a lot of those decisions? Is that a lot of the director or a lot of the DP or
It depends. Like the director I just worked with, he has a very like strong technical background of things, and so he understands how to achieve what he's looking for. Maybe not exactly as well as I do, but my job is to help him do it. So it just depends. Like sometimes he'll say, I want a 50 millimeter lens right here, close up on this guy, and I want the background completely soft. Other times, the director will lean on the DP to make that decision. And then ultimately you are going to show the director what you've come up with, and they'll like it or not like it, and then you just need to know how to be able to change it, and you need to be able to understand what they're asking for, so that technically you know how to get what they're looking for, and you know how to make the technical and creative decisions to do that.
Totally.
Do you have a good example of where the director wanted a certain look and you had to figure out how to create it?
Not really. Well, I mean, it kind of comes up. Okay, for example, the last movie we did, this is what I was told. I want a shot of the girl driving her car, and then I want the camera to slowly zoom into her as she's driving. And I'm like, okay, that's pretty simple. But what actually ended up, the actual way that we had to achieve that was you have to have her driving your car. My first idea was to have her on a process trailer, and we would be on the truck pulling the trailer. Easy, zoom into her. Excuse me. We didn't have the budget for that. So what ended up happening was she was driving the car completely free on her own. We were in a chase car, and we had the camera on a gimbal. And so we rented a zoom lens for that one day, and we just trial and error. We did like 20 takes,
Oh man.
and we just had to time it out right. So she would approach a little bit, we'd zoom in a little, and eventually we got it. But it took a lot.
Yeah. Molly, do you have any final thoughts or questions or anything? You?
I'd like to offer myself for Montana Western film when you're ready. I'm a local Blackfoot out there, so
Oh, sweet. Okay. Yeah, I'd love that.
Cool.
It's funny too
I'm
that
free too.
it's funny that Rob actually shot a film in Montana before I did, and I'm
Oh,
from
really?
there.
Totally. And he didn't
Beautiful
invite you?
backdrop.
Or was this before you knew each other?
No, he did. I was working on other projects though.
Not interested.
Yeah, our schedules. I was definitely interested, but schedules just doesn't work out
Of
sometimes.
course. Of course. John, do you have any final thoughts or questions before we get ready to sign off here?
I think you've got a deep treasure trove of knowledge, and it's hard to dig out the nuggets a little
Yeah.
bit. But I think that's just because I just realizing a lot of us are pretty new, so sometimes it's not exactly clear who does what role, where the roles kind of overlap, where you should let some people like fill in the blanks versus you need to provide the detail. I mean, we don't have enough time to get into all that, but I imagine you've had plenty of experience there. But I mean, I guess for me, it's like, is there any big, like, takeaways or revelations about your experiences in the past? Things that you would have liked to have known earlier, or at least things that you really appreciated learning, at least from a new film director or film crew point of view.
Yeah, I think one of the biggest skills you can learn is to basically read the room and just develop a sense of when your input is needed or wanted, and how you most diplomatically present your opinion sometimes. Um, it goes back to like your relationship with your collaborators and how closely you work together and how much you trust each other and know each other. And because the movie I just shot, the director I've worked with on a bunch of other films, and so we have that shorthand. I can whisper ideas to him, and he'll give that note to the actors or try that on the next take. You can't do that with every director. You have to have that respect and that relationship, which comes with time. So Like if I had gone on to the Ernie and Emma set and I walked up to Bruce and I was like, why don't you try it this way? There's no way that would fly. There's no way that would fly. So
That's
it's
why
just one of those
you gotta
things
tell
like
it to Mike first, and then Mike can tell
right.
you. Yeah.
And sometimes you have to respect the chain of command, and it's just about being like a ninja. You want to be kind of invisible, but always ready to react and do your thing and bring your A game to the table.
Totally, totally. Bowen, do you have any final thoughts or questions before we get out of here?
Broadly, no, just wanted to say thank you so much for joining us. It's been really insightful talking to you. I guess only other general question I would have is, at least with in a quick answer so that we don't take all day. If you were wanting to point somebody in the direction of just, learning the basics of better cinematography skills, where would you direct them?
Oh man. Watch movies. Watch movies.
Is the best teacher.
Sounds easy.
You know what the big thing for me was? I'm dating myself again, but like when DVDs were first coming out, the director's commentaries, that's amazing. That is so valuable to have. And I have all of them behind me here. But I remember when I would see a DVD and it had a cinematographer's commentary on it, I was like, I don't even know what this movie is. I don't care. I'm buying the movie because that is some of the most valuable stuff you can.
Essentially a tutorial.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
Cool. Is there a movie that you can think of with a cinematographer commentary on it? I don't know that I've ever seen one like that.
A lot of M. David Mullins movies have them on there.
There you go. That makes sense.
So I learned a lot from him. I learned a lot from
yeah.
him from watching his commentaries. A few Deakins movies have them too. I think he does a commentary on Fargo.
Cool. Very cool. Very cool.
What's that?
The Fargo movie.
The
I thought
grind.
you were talking about Fargo the movie.
Yes. Yeah.
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 I stood in the wood chipper out there.
Oh, sick. Yeah. Yeah.
Visiting center.
Cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
All right, man.
But yeah, also, Logan, if anyone wants to get in touch with me, feel free to share my info. So,
I was just about to ask, where do we find you?
Yeah.
What's the socials? Plug yourself.
Yeah.
oh man, I'm only on Instagram. It's Clayton Moore DP is my username. And that's my website too. ClaytonMooreDP.com.
That's right. Good deal. All right.
Thank you for your wisdom. I'm sure everybody else agrees with that, but each one of you speakers say one little thing that really opens up our eyes. So I appreciate your time.
Oh, good. Good. Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, man. It's been an absolute blast, and I'm glad to get to see you again.
Yeah, you too, man. And I'll come back anytime. Just ask.
Fantastic. Fantastic.
Yeah.
All right.
Tomorrow?
What you got going on Wednesday of next week?
Christmas, I think, but other than that, yeah, no big deal.
Well, I mean, that's over in the morning though, right?
No big
So
deal,
you
yeah.
got all day after that.
I'm Jewish, so
All right, so we're good.
Cool. All right, man. Thank you so much. I appreciate you.
Thanks,
Thank
Clayton.
you, everyone.
Appreciate it.
See ya.
Have a good night.